Hello friends, welcome back to my channel Mukesh English, and this is Mukesh Soni. Friends, in this video we shall have the discussion of an important question paper, that is the open elective question paper titled Spoken English for Global Communication under Bangalore University, third semester 2024 examination. Let me tell you, you can refer to any year of the question paper, any semester's question paper. All the question papers are important for you, whichever the semester you belong to. So you can, I have done completely three question paper solution. All the three question paper solutions link you can see in the description box. And these three QPs will definitely help you to get at least passing marks as well as the best marks. Let's begin the discussion here. So the part one, you need to answer here 5 questions. Each question is for 2 marks. What is meant by global communication? It's again a repeated question. Global communication can be defined as a process of exchanging information and ideas across national borders, utilizing various channels and platforms, for example, social media, language, migration, and work. Second question, what are speech organs? The speech organs involve the respiratory system, the lungs and the chest muscles and the windpipes, phonatory system, that is larynx, and the articulatory system, that is the flow of air through larynx. Next, third question we have here. State any two variants of English: American English, British English, Canadian English, Australian English. Then mention any two differences between American and British English. Difference from the point of your pronunciation. So the vowel sounds like dance, fast, glass. Here, the R sound is produced as A, like dance, fast, glass. In contrast, British people, they pronounce the pure R vowel sound here: dance, fast, and glass. Spelling difference we find here. Uh, in American English, there are the words where the ER is used. On the other hand, in the British English, RE is used. For example, in the word theater, RE, but in American English, in American English, it is spelled as TER. So these are the basic differences between American and British English. Fifth question we have here, the stages of listening. Mention any two stages of listening: receiving, understanding, remembering, evaluating, and feedback. I've forgotten to mention here 5 stages you have here: receiving, understanding, remembering, and feedback. State any two challenges faced in listening. We face many challenges. Example, selective listening. We have here distractions, lack of empathy, overemphasize on one's own perspective. Seventh question, define intrapersonal communication. Intrapersonal communication can be defined as the communication with oneself. This may include self-talk, acts of imagination, visualization, or sometimes recall and memory. So these are the 2 marks questions, and out of 7 questions, you need to opt here 5 questions. Now you need to opt here 5 marks, 5 questions. Next question. The very first question we have here, explain briefly the progress of written communication. The progress of written communication can be divided into the three information communication revolutions. Number one, written communication first emerged through the usage of pictographs. The pictograms were made in stones, hence written communication was not yet mobile. Pictograms began to develop standardized and simplified forms. Second form of communication we have here, the next stop occurred when writing began to appear on paper. Papyrus, clay, wax, and other media with commonly shared writing systems, and communication became here mobile. Mobile means to say movable from one end to other end. And the next third stage we have here, by the transfer of information through controlled waves of electromagnetic radiation like radio, microwave, infrared, and the other electronic signals. Second question we have here, explain the levels of semiotic rules in brief. These are very new questions. Semiotic rules in brief. The communication can be seen as a process of information transmission with the three levels of semiotic rules. So there are three levels of semantic rules in communication. So pragmatic, which refers to the relations between signs and expressions and the users. Second, semantic, which refers to the relationship between signs and symbols, what they represent, and the syntactic, which which are the formal properties of signs and symbols. So therefore, communication is a social interaction where at least two interacting agents share a common set of signs and a common set of semiotic rules. Third question we have here: describe the role of empathy in listening with examples each. Empathic listening is a powerful tool which enables you to understand others better by listening to them with empathy and understanding. Active empathic listening involves focusing on the speaker, paying attention to the words and the nonverbal communication, and reflecting on what they say to truly understand their perspective. In addition, critical thinking is an essential component of empathic listening as it enables you to think beyond the surface level of what someone is saying and understand their underlying feelings and motivations. So we have the examples of empathic listening, emphatic listening. For example, employees' concerns and feedback. You listen to employee very carefully. You give the feedback. Then conflict resolution. When there is a conflict between two employees, you listen to both of them and come to a conclusion. Performance reviews. When you do the exit interview or when you do the 365-degree evaluation, so these are very empathetic listening where you listen to them very and you show your sympathy and you involve in them. Next, fourth question we have here: how do vowels and consonants play an important role in English communication? In English, in written English, there are 26 letters, but in standard British English, there are 44 speech sounds or phonemes. These 44 sounds can be classified as vowels and consonants. Vowels are again classified as the vowels, pure vowels and monophthongs, and vowel glides as well as the diphthongs. So there are 44 sounds, and out of 44 sounds, there are 20 vowel sounds, and out of 20 vowel sounds, there are 12 vowels and the 8 diphthongs, and the remaining 24 are the consonant sounds. So words in English need vowels to separate the sounds that consonants make. In this way, while each word needs to have vowel, not each word needs to have a consonants. This is how the vowels and consonants play an important role in the communication. And yeah, next question: briefly explain the history of English language. English is classified as a Germanic language which was brought to the British Isles between the 5th and the 7th century AD by the Anglo-Saxon migrants from Germany, Denmark, and the Netherlands. It is one of the languages related to German, Dutch, Norwegian, and Swedish. The English language evolved over time and after years of development. Today, English has many varieties in different parts of the world. Different varieties, different accent, vocabulary, grammar, and discourse, and have their respective characteristics in pronunciation, tone, intonation, spelling, and so on. English is not only known as a language of the English people, but is also known as a language spoken by the people in many countries. Its history goes back to the year 450 AD, where the Old English period is marked. English began in what is now in British Isles. At the beginning of the 5th century, British was invaded by the three tribes from northern Europe, the Angles, the Angles, the Saxons and the Jutes. These three tribes settled down on the islands and merged into one. The three dialects the three dialects, which is a particular three dialects which they spoke, naturally grew into a single language and the English language. However, after years of development, now it's probably one of the most widely spoken language in the world. With the development of English language, it has many varieties, many variants across the world: British English, American English, Canadian English, spoken English, sometimes English also. So the next question, explain the different different strategies of effective listening. The listening has the four important strategies here: cognitive, metacognitive, affective, and social strategies. Number one, cognitive listening strategies, which here refers to the all the mental abilities and processes which are related to knowledge to resolve problems. Some examples we have here: inferring, predicting, interpreting, storing and recalling information, summarizing, translating, repeating, elaborating, resourcing, grouping, note taking, substituting, and drawing images. Second, we have here meta cognitive listening strategies, which covers the acts of planning, monitoring, and evaluating the listening text. Planning refers to how one develops the awareness of what needs to be done to accomplish a listener's task. Monitoring refers to how listeners can check, verify, and correct comprehension. Evaluating here refers to check the results of learners' listening comprehension against the internal measure of completeness and accuracy. Third one we have here affective listening strategy, which is concerned with the managing emotions, which could be negative as well as positive. And the fourth one we have here social listening strategies, where we learn by interacting with each other, by appealing for help or asking for confirmation. So these are the four listening strategies we have. Next question, explain the types of communication: verbal, non-verbal, and written communication. You can pause the video and you can go through it. Again, verbal, we have here oral communication and written communication. Then we have non-verbal communication, where we say body language, paralinguistics, proxemics, haptics, appearance. Then we have written communication, where we use the words as symbols, letters, emails, letters, reports, articles, social media post. So out of these 7 questions, you are going to opt here 5 questions. Now you have here 2 questions for 10 marks. You need to opt here 2 questions for 10 marks. Question number 1, explain any two communication model in detail. So models of communication is simplified. They are the simplified representations of the process of communication. Many models try to describe both verbal and non-verbal communication and often understand it as an exchange of messages. Their function is to give a compact overview of the complex process of communication. So the very first model which we discuss here, Laswell's model of communication. This model of communication is one of the first and the most influential models of communication. It was initially published by Harold Laswell in 1948 and analyzes the communication in the 5 basic questions: who says what, in what channel, to whom, with what effect. These questions pick out the 5 fundamental components of the communication process: sender, message, channel, receiver, and effect. You can go through this diagram. Please copy this diagram. Who is the communicator? Says what message? In which channel? What's the medium? To whom? Recipient. With what effect? This is Laswell's model of communication. Next model, which I have collected here, linear model of communication. Linear model of communication suggests that communication takes place only in one direction. This includes channel, sender, and receiver. Some linear model of communication also mentions the noise as one of the factors that have a role in the communication process. Noise acts as the background element which usually distracts from the original message. So you can also go through this diagram of linear model of communication, which focuses only on the one-way mode of communication. So these are the two models of communication, Laswell and linear. Elaborate the elaborate on the barriers to effective communication. So these are the barriers to effective communication. It's again a repeated question. Prejudgments about the speaker, assuming that speaker is going to give some unimportant information, arriving late for a speech, presentation, or lecture, judging the speaker by his or her mannerism, voice, appearance, or accent, lack of concentration or interest, avoid listening to difficult, boring, or complex information, and being a selective listener, speaker or listener getting distracted by the disturbances. So I request you to analyze, to explain each and every key points. They are very easy. You can write 2-3 lines for each. Third question we have for 10 marks. What are the types of listening? Listening for gist. First type of listening is here. It's again a repeated question. Listening for gist. It is extensive listening for skimming. This happens when we listen to get a general idea about a topic. Example, summary of the news on the radio. Listening for specific information. When we want to discover a particular piece of information, for example, about the weather report in your city. Third one we have here, listening in detail. It's called as an intensive listening. We listen very closely by paying attention to all the words and try to understand as much as information as possible. Example, a member of a jury listening to a statement from a witness. Last one, discriminative listening. It's very foundational type of listening, and the basic form of listening, it serves all the other forms of listening because it involves the recognition and distinction of auditory stimuli. So these are the four types of listening with explanation. So these were the 10 marks questions we have discussed here. Out of 3 questions, you need to attempt 2 questions. Now we have another, I'm sorry, there's an error here. 5 into 1, it should be 5. I'm very poor in mathematics. So any one question for 5 marks. Next, you have dialogue writing for 5 marks. So you need to write a dialogue between two friends if science is a blessing or curse. So while drafting a dialogue, make it very simple. Use the punctuation properly and use the short forms like I am, I apostrophe am, like this. So you can pause the video and you can go through this dialogue. Now you have an option. If you don't want to write a dialogue on the given topic, you can complete the following dialogue. Answer is here. So this is how dialogue writing, which is the last section, which is for 5 marks. So now let me repeat here. 2 marks 5 questions, 5 marks 5 questions, 10 marks 2 questions, and 5 marks 1 question, which is 5 marks last one, dialogue writing question. So this is how I have tried to solve third semester 2024 examination question paper. This is how I have solved here. 3 important question papers. The links are in the description box. Go through all the 3 question papers. Definitely you will pass in this paper, spoken English for global communication. Thank you so much for watching this video. Subscribe the channel if you have not yet done it. Wish you good luck. Stay connected with Mukesh English.